one of the biggest hurdles and challenges that I realized almost immediately after hiring, oh shit, like I have no systems in place because I didn't have them ready. I have no choice but to actually have everything in my mind written down on spreadsheets, on paper. Hello everybody, welcome to the first ever episode of Let's Talk BS by Blanc Studio. I am joined here by Mon today for our first ever podcast.
I was going to say thanks for having me, but no, you'll always have me.
I always have you. This is actually a long time coming.
I think so.
Oh, I don't even know where to begin, Mon. I'm so excited. First of all, I'm so excited to finally be doing this podcast because I feel like I've been trying for so long. I've been like, First of all, I've been thinking about doing a podcast for the business for the past 2 years. And then I tried at the beginning of the year. That didn't work out, which is fine. I think I had a lot of lessons to learn before I have something to share
well,
to the world.
I think it happened at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe I should introduce you.
Sounds good.
To everybody who doesn't know, Mon is part of the Blanc Studio team, and as we head into 2024, she is going to be more involved in the strategic, the social media and operations part of the business, which I'm so excited about. But the last 2 years...
We tried to do this the other day and tried to work out when I started working for you.
Yes.
And we literally still don't know. Have you worked it out?
Well, I think it was 2 years ago.
I think so. I think it was 2 years ago, yeah, which is a long time.
Because we thought... I've had Blanc Studio for 3 years, but it's actually 2 years, going into 3 years. So
2 years.
2 years,
done.
But it feels like a lifetime.
It does.
Because fun fact,
we've known each other for
7 years.
7 years, yeah.
And we've always worked together.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
Yeah. I've literally known you before I met my husband.
I know, Mon. Longer than she's known you, Andy.
Yeah.
Amon will be helping out in podcasts over the next year. She will be co-hosting. So if Mon's not here, we'll be inviting some guests. However, you know, Mon and I have some solid chat, so she'll be, I guess, just in on the conversations.
Helping tease out all of your
weeding out
from Jay.
Getting the tea.
Yeah.
Basically.
Literally.
So yeah, I'm gonna let you take the lead.
Oh, okay. Well, we've thought for the first episode that we would do a little wrap up of the year.
Yeah.
Because it is the end of the year. I don't know when the episode's coming out. Beginning of next year.
No, this episode is gonna come out before Christmas.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about the year because it's been a big one for you.
Oh
yeah. So give me 3 words to describe 2023.
3 words is not enough.
I know, I agree.
Challenging. It's like challenging. Growth. I guess could I use that? It's not a descriptive word, but it's
we'll use it. It's
challenging, growth, also incredible.
Yeah.
I feel like there had been so many ups and so many highlights and milestones
You've
this
done
year.
so much this year. Back.
But behind the scenes, like outside of business, there was so much shit that happened that forced me to grow and become the person that I am today a year later. So those are my 3 words.
Do you feel like your personal growth has tied into your business growth?
Yeah, for sure. The biggest priority I had for myself at the beginning of this year, kind of like end of last year, I knew that I wanted to work on my mental health because I could see some of my traumas and a lot of like things that I was struggling with come up and manifest in business.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, a lot of my personal things that I knew I needed to work on would manifest in business. So I made the decision to start going to therapy and really prioritize my mental health at the beginning of the year, and that has honestly been game changer and life changing for me.
More people need to go to therapy.
I know. I just can't recommend it enough. Like I sound like a broken record. I tell all my friends, you need to go to therapy, you need to go to therapy. But I don't think anyone truly understands the gravity of that until they go themselves and experience that for themselves.
Without going into like too much depth, unless you want to, you can like say whatever you want. So, how do you think the trauma that you've been through in your life has, I don't know, been resolved, or like, what have you learned from that whole process?
Shit,
Like,
okay. The first 5
tell
minutes.
me about your traumas.
Tell me. I guess we're trauma bonding at Let's Talk BS. This is the BS that we're talking about today.
Yeah. Just hit us with it, you know.
A couple of things. I think looking back on the way that I operated last year, I made a lot of decisions that were based on fear, low self-esteem. Not that I struggled with my self-esteem that much, but you know, sometimes you think you're healed, but then you get presented with these challenges and real life things that happen in like different experiences, and you're like, oh crap, like I actually still need to work on those. So I made a couple of decisions last year that kind of challenged me a couple months down the line, and I think those decisions were made because I didn't have the self-confidence to do it on my own, like to build this business on my own. So that, and also I struggled with communication. That was
That's so interesting, because as like your employee, I wouldn't have picked that up.
Yeah.
Do you mean with your staff, or just in like in your life? Like, where did you?
Both.
Everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
To some degree, I think I'm an effective communicator, but when it comes to like hard conversations and conversations where I have to be quite stern.
You grew so much.
Yeah, I guess I was like a little bit of a pushover.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think I've just, you know, through work and through therapy and through practicing what I've learned, I've just become so much stronger in verbalizing my boundaries, especially in business.
Yeah.
In business has been a game changer, because now I prioritize the needs of myself and the business instead of putting other people's needs before the business. But what's the point if the business, you know, what's the point of having a business if you're just not going to make decisions for it and then cause some, you know, detrimental choices for it.
I've obviously got like something, I'm thinking of something like in my mind that's like occurred to make you more of an effective communicator and like a better boundary setter. But it's really interesting thinking about your business is essentially like a baby. Like, I think literally about my child, and I'm like, at the end of the day, I have to make decisions for him that it might hurt somebody else.
Yes.
Like, even like something so simple as being like, I can't come to your birthday party or something like that. It's like, my child comes first. It's the same literally for you and your business.
Yeah.
Like, you can't overstate how well, not serious, that makes it sound like life or death, but like, you have to make that choice that's going to benefit your business, and other people might not understand that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's huge, and I feel like you learned that in the past year.
Yeah. I have a question to ask you.
Okay.
Since you know kind of everything that's gone on behind the scenes, do you think the way that I've communicated, you know, at the beginning of the year, or not even the beginning of the year, since we started working together for Blanc Studio 2 years ago, now that you're more involved, how do you think I communicate now to the team and like to everyone else?
I would say you cover all bases. Like,
that's good.
In terms of like, you make sure nothing is miscommunicated.
Okay.
So obviously, like, people who are poor communicators, things just like, you can't go back and be like, oh, well, I said this. I don't know if that makes much sense, but like, yeah, you make sure that all your ducks in a row are that you know what's going on, and that everyone else knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I think that's where you get things going wrong, and especially when it comes to like client work, you don't want things to get missed.
Yeah.
Because that reflects on you at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think I would say, like, in my communication over the last year, I'm very thorough.
You are, yeah.
But I've always had that. The organization part and being really thorough about everything and making sure whatever projects it is or whatever client or anything that we need executed, I'm always like lists and like everything, like on our Trello boards, I make everything as plain and simple and easy to understand as possible.
No step is missed.
So in an organization sense, I feel like I'm pretty good, but when it comes to actually confrontations and like decisions that's got to do with the business that might hurt the other person or, things like that are a bit awkward or uncomfortable, I really struggled with those kind of conversations. But once I started practicing more of that, that's when like I felt so much more free within myself as a business owner, as a leader, as, someone leading a team. And I think that's, one of the biggest things that I've had to learn this year.
On the note of leading a team, I know we wanted to talk about hiring staff.
Ooh!
Yeah. So I feel like from my perspective, and somebody who's not a business owner, when someone says like, oh, I hired a team member, or like I hired a staff member, you're like, yeah, cool, well done, like good job. But it's when you really understand what that's like from the inside of like what's going on in your mind and all the things you have to do to be able to hire a team member. So you have to make sure you can obviously afford to pay them because that's their livelihood.
Yes.
And then also be able to pay yourself. And you have to train them up, trust that they're going to do the job as good as you or, almost, because you'll never really truly feel like someone can do it the way you can.
Yeah.
But like take me through your mind in that decision, in taking that risk. What did it feel like?
Far out.
What did you have to work through to be able to take that step?
That is actually one of the biggest challenges and lessons that I had to go through this year was the whole hiring process and like expanding the team.
Because you've put 2 full-timers on now.
2 full-timers.
Yeah,
so
that's huge.
At the beginning of the year, so prior to that, we had you and we had, remember Hannah?
Yeah.
Hi Hannah, miss you. But that was more on a casual basis.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's less,
quite
not to
easy.
say less of a risk, but like
it's
less of a responsibility, I suppose.
Less responsibility, and you're not like having to keep up with what everyone's doing all the time because it's like task here, task there.
Yeah, like contracted, I suppose.
Yeah. But now having 2 full-time staff, one of the biggest hurdles and challenges that I realized almost immediately after hiring was, oh shit, like I have no systems in place. Like I thought I had systems, but when it comes to actually explaining and training and verbalizing how we do things, you need, like I cannot even like say how much you need systems to be able to delegate and train effectively.
Yeah.
So in the process of like training our new staff and showing them how to do things, I was actually frantically developing systems too. Because I didn't have them ready. And so
do you feel like that was the push though? Like
100%. I was like, now I have to get my shit together.
Like, whatever, like it's just me. I just recall everything.
Yeah, I was like, I have no choice but to actually have everything in my mind written down on spreadsheets, on paper, on our Trello boards and whatever, the management system that we use. I have to put all of that from my head on paper so that it's trackable. People know, like staff know what to refer to. So that pushed me to do that and to get really organized. I thought I was organized.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I would say you were organized, and then we put the systems in, and I was like, oh, that's
so much easier, right? Yeah.
But how did you, for any other, I know that you'll have some people who are either starting a business or have started a business and I have no idea what to do to take that step. How did you even figure out how to systemize?
Oh, gosh. So I think I laid out everything that I do as a business owner and organize what like different departments of like, how do you call it? Responsibilities, I guess. Like for us, the one thing that I had to prioritize immediately was the social media management system, right? And within the social media, humongous.
And the more you have clients, the more like chaotic
Yeah.
it will get
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
don't systemize.
So within the social media system, there's so many other systems under that, like how to do feed curation, how we do daily engagement, how we do all these things within social media management.
It's like an umbrella and everything comes underneath.
I had to create like separate systems for all of those. And yeah, basically that's how I did it, and then figured out which parts of the system I needed to offload to our team, and then went from there. And it wasn't perfect. Like it took like, it's still like to this day
it will keep growing.
Yeah. But it really did force me to like super organized. I think that was also one of the things that hello, we have a visitor soon. One of the things that kind of was a stem from this whole challenge was, number one, systems, secondly, organization, in a sense where I have to be way ahead of the team.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is every week, you know, I needed to take the time to list down everything that everyone needed to do for the following week. Because if I wasn't organized, really?
She's really interested in this topic. Hi.
She's like, yeah, organization.
Oh my goodness. I feel so blessed.
You are blessed.
I've been chosen.
You're the chosen one. Where was I with this? Yeah, on top, like I had to be so on top of everyone, otherwise no one was productive.
Yeah.
That was the thing that was like, oh shit, like I need to know what everyone else was doing, because otherwise we're not efficient and I'm wasting my money, basically not maximizing everyone's productivity because I don't have my shit together.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of weeks where I was just like, I felt so behind on everything because I was doing my workload, and I also doing the workload of someone who was supposed to be there, who's no longer there during this time that we hired basically 2 full-timers at the same time.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, I was doing my own workload, doing someone else's workload full-time. So full-time for me, part-time for the other person, training 2 full-time staff at the same time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even just like, it wasn't just like, here's what you need to do, I'm going to go do my work now. I had to be on top of them because they were so new.
Through it. Yeah.
Literally. So I don't even know how I did that.
Yeah.
I actually don't know how I did that. That was like 2 or 3 months where I was just like so in it.
Yeah.
I think I had no life outside of work, like at the beginning of the year.
At the same time, you kind of felt like you had to be like, not watching your back, that's the wrong term, but like you had to be keeping like all eyes on what was going on, because you didn't feel like you could trust that it was all getting done. Like it wasn't, the things weren't getting done. Like you, as a business owner, you couldn't trust your staff, or not, like, you know what I mean? Like the people you have at the moment are amazing, but like, it was hard to trust that the people were doing the jobs that you'd assigned. That
was a huge learning curve. And like, even after that whole thing eventuated, like for those of you who don't know, there was a huge event in the business that literally was like detrimental to the business. I don't want to talk about it.
With so much grace though. I think.
I'd like to say that I handled it with grace, but that did cause a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
And a lot of trust issues on my end. But soon after that, I couldn't let that event hold me back. I had no choice but to trust other people anyway.
Yeah.
So that I could sustain and grow this business and like keep up. So there was like a couple months there where like I was just trying to keep my head above water. Honestly, I am quite surprised that our clients, I don't know, I think we, in terms of our work, we never showed that things were going on behind the scenes.
Too, yeah.
The clients know what happened to some degree.
I think you also kept most of the client contact between yourself and the client though.
Yeah.
So that probably helped soften anything that was going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. So they knew what was happening, and at the end of the day, because I think this is where I guess my perfectionism comes in handy. I never would put out or send out any work that I wasn't proud of.
Yeah.
So
Like you had to approve it.
yeah, exactly.
I don't know if this is like a whole other episode, but like I'm going to introduce the topic anyway.
Okay.
So I would say that now I've just like lost my train of thought.
I'm gonna have some water while you get back your train of thought.
I'm going to do the same thing. Essentially, so you, I would say, through that whole thing, trusted your gut a lot, which I think is a very feminine trait, right?
Yeah.
So like gut instinct, intuition, very feminine, right? And then you look at the other side of things where it's masculine, obviously that's the opposite of feminine, and that's very like organized, that's process driven. And in business, it often calls you to
Being
take on that
masculine,
masculine side,
yes.
right? And sometimes you might have to go against your gut because like sometimes the feminine gut can be very chaotic,
Yeah.
right? That sounds really weird.
Feminine, 2023, the feminine gut can
Point
be
of
very
view.
chaotic.
How would you describe 2023? Anyway, yeah, how do you really balance that as a business owner when you've got like those gut feelings that are telling you to do something, but then there might be that other side of you that says, the logical side that says to just do something or like just work through it.
That's such a great question.
It's huge. It's a beast.
It's a huge question. I've only really started learning about this like polarity of like feminine leadership and masculine leadership at the beginning of the year. And something that I realized while I was learning about all of this was up until now, like probably still quite a lot, but leading up to like this year and middle of this year, I was very much driven by my masculinity. What that means was I was very just like logical processes, get shit done.
Leader.
Something goes wrong, doesn't matter, keep going, get up, we have shit to do. So that I was very driven there. I think that's very important for a woman who is in a leadership role, and especially in business. I think those qualities are very important. But something that I not failed, it was a learning curve, but something that I kind of dismissed or didn't pay much attention to last year was listen to my intuition, which is a very feminine quality, right? So there were many things last year that my gut, my whole self was just telling me this is not the right direction.
And I watched you go through that. I would hear your words and I'd be like, she doesn't feel good about it.
Yeah.
I could tell, but you were fighting it.
I was fighting it, and although at the end of the day, I figured it out, but it took me months, like 7 months to figure out, like just to let things go and I guess be more like accepting of what's happening and just take a step back a little bit and like be more in tune. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
It took me a really long time to let go of control a little bit, because I think I was because I wanted everything to be so specific, and I have, me, I'm stubborn and I'm determined. So when I have an idea, I'm like, it's all or nothing kind of thing. But I think over time I've learned just to kind of let go a little bit and listen to my intuition. And by doing that, I've made decisions that are so much more aligned with who I am, lessened my anxiety in like 100% lessened my anxiety, and enabled me to actually lead from intuition.
Yeah, and that's like a superpower, like being able to balance that. I think having that gut feeling that's like tells you what to do is really cool. So yeah, I think it's good to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
But like, as you said, having that masculine process-driven mind and leadership mind was so important.
Yeah.
And it still is. Like, you could never
100%.
ever run your business without it.
Yeah. I think this year I've definitely learned to balance it so much better. Like, I think about the way that I work now, even the way that I communicate. I feel like when it comes to getting shit done, that's when my, masculine energy comes in. I'm just like, deadlines has to be done this way. It has to be done, by this time. We need to do this. And when I think of something, like, for example, good example is like, I've been thinking about doing this podcast for so long. And then last week, last Wednesday,
Yeah.
less than a week
literally
ago.
a week ago.
Less than a week ago, I had a strong urge to finally do it, and then I was just like tunnel vision
Yeah,
about it. I was
like,
like,
get it done.
I was like, Jerry, Mon,
Yeah.
I started my list of guests to
Love it.
interview for next year.
Yeah.
We already have Iliska coming after you to do the first guest interview.
Yeah.
So that is a very masculine, example of like getting shit done. If I have an
Yeah.
idea, I'll do it. But when it comes to my feminine side, it's like I become so much better in just like sitting with my feelings. Instead of like actioning it straight away or like fixing it straight away, I'll often like sit back and process and like figure out how it makes me feel. And then once I'm more aware of what's going on in my mind and like in my heart, then I can make decisions based off that. So intuition it's a huge one that I have stopped like ignoring, basically. And my communication, I feel like I compare myself to who I was as a leader during hospo days.
Wow.
Yeah, throwback. That was
It's like a different life.
for another episode.
Yeah.
We
Oh my
definitely
gosh,
need to do
yeah.
an episode of like what life was like before Blanc Studio. But I just compare myself to who I was 4 years ago when I was leading a team in hospitality. I was very much, I guess, sterner and stricter, but now, like, you see me and the way that I talk to the girls in the team and everyone else, I kind of just like let everyone do their thing. Like, I set my expectations, I set the brief, I set the deadlines, I say everything I need to say, and then I let everyone do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you agree?
Yeah, it's weird because when you're doing it, you don't even think that there is like a method to the communication.
Yeah.
You just think, oh yeah, cool, she did a good job of that. Like she's
Yeah.
doing a good job of leading, but you don't think what's behind, or like you might have even learnt a lesson that has taught you how to communicate that way.
Yeah.
Like I just think, oh, she's just a good boss.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
But you don't think that you're in a constant state of learning how to be a good boss.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you're a natural leader and boss, but to be a great boss, that takes work.
Absolutely. I was so different in the way that I spoke to my team. I think now I'm just that energy of trust and surrender and like letting go of control has really been prominent this year. So I would say that's the main difference between like me a couple of years ago, because I was always just like wanted to be in control, probably a bit micro managing like everyone. Right now I feel like I don't know. I should ask you. Do I micromanage?
No, not at all.
Jerry, do
Absolutely
I micromanage?
He's going to say yes. He's thinking yes. He's like, I didn't want to say it, but
No. Jerry
told me
says
to say
no,
this.
everybody. I don't think I micromanage, but I definitely know what I want. And I think I get that comment a lot from the people that I work with. I think people appreciate the fact that I'm organized and I tell them exactly what I want. But then when it comes to the execution part, I'll leave everyone to just do it.
yeah. We have one this afternoon. Well, you do, Aliska, coming on this afternoon. But she is one of many incredible clients that we work with.
Yes.
I feel like you have perfectly nailed the Blanc Studio ideal client, really. So what have you learnt from them? Because they're all very, very successful.
Oh,
And
that's
I
such
feel
a
like,
good
yes,
question.
you're working like to achieve a goal for them, but I feel like what you get to witness from them is pretty cool. So what have you learnt from them?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I love our clients. You love our clients. Like all our clients are so beautiful, and as much as we provide a service for them, and they come to us for something specific, and they learn a lot about like social media, what's happening in this world. I learn so much.
There's such a value exchange, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I actually learn so much from them. So a lot of our clients, actually most of our clients, they are, probably 10, 15 years, 20 years ahead of us in business. So they're, a bit older in the 30s, 35s, 40s, even a bit more. So they have so much they have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to their industries and just how they've built their businesses. So I think in that sense, I love being around them because number one, first of all, I love their business and like what they're all about and their message. I think we've attracted really incredible clients in that way who have really strong messaging, you know, beyond what they provide as a product or a service. I love the fact that, they're very passionate about it. And then secondly, I love the fact that, you know, when I spend time with them, I learn so much from them and just what they've been through in business and how they built their business, which is exactly part of the reason why I wanted to start this podcast, is so that we can invite other business owners as well to talk about their journeys, especially business owners who are way ahead of Blanc Studio, because I want to be able to showcase their story. Because when I have conversations with them and I catch up with them, it's like, oh my gosh, like so many people could learn from you.
So much knowledge.
So I want to provide that platform, Blanc Studio. It's a blank canvas. That's the vibe. That's the marketing behind it.
Just telling the Blanc Studio story.
Yes,
Weave that in.
we need to do the Blanc Studio story because I feel like it's like all in my head, but I've actually never verbalized it.
Yeah.
So that's incredible that I get to learn a lot from them, and I want to bring that into Blanc Studio so that other people have access to that kind of knowledge. And I also want to, I guess, highlight what they've been through and what it took for them to get to where they are now in business, and to be able to sustain businesses that are like 5 years, because you know the rate, like the first 2 years of business, a lot of it dies down or like drops off after 2 years. A lot of our clients have sustained their businesses for like 5 years, 10 years, 15 years.
Or even in the case of some of them, multiple businesses, like have built multiple successful businesses.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So I want, I just want to provide that space. Like if I can learn so much from you, there's so many people who are wanting to start a business, and a lot of our audience are like that. And I think people find it really hard to take the first step to start their business, because whatever it is, fear, lack of support, whatever it is, that's starting is a struggle. But I think with Let's Talk BS and the podcast in general, I want to be able to talk openly and be vulnerable about the challenges and the struggles that business owners go through, talk about mental health and how it affects the day-to-day life and what they had to do to build a successful business, so that people who are at the beginning of their, you know, business journeys understand that people still, like, successful business owners still go through shit. So like it's inevitable, and I want people to feel like they're not alone in this journey. You know what I mean?
I think that's a whole episode. Like starting a business is a whole episode in itself as well. So if you want an episode on starting a business, definitely let us know. But what would you say if you had to give like one tip for someone going into the new year who's like, I'm going to start a business in 2024, that's my goal. What's your like the first thing that's going to set them up to get that started, whether it's practical or like a mindset switch?
I think mindset is a big one. I think people get excited about starting, they get excited about creating an Instagram account, finding a name, the fun stuff. But as soon as it gets a little bit after that phase and the reality kicks in of like, I actually have to sustain this business, I actually have to find sales and revenue, they stop because they realize how hard it actually is or where to begin.
Yeah, you're a weird breed. I don't know how you do it. Like I look at my husband, I look at you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like you are built different. Like
is that a compliment?
It's a compliment. It's absolutely a compliment, because I'm like, I think it's it's so popular now to start a business. Like everyone wants to start a business, but the actual reality of it is really rough. It's really emotionally, financially, in pretty much every area of your life. You'll either have to sacrifice, you'll have to stress all the time to build something that you have this strong vision that no one else can see. So
Thank you.
yeah, it's incredible. But yeah, so I
think
interesting you said
mindset.
mindset. Yeah.
What I mean by mindset specifically, I think you have to really think about why you're going into business. If you want to go into business because it's fun and it's a creative outlet, or if you're thinking that you just want to get rich and make money, forget about it.
Yeah. And that's like
Forget about it.
A bit brutal, but it's true. Like you could.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
It is fun, but it's not for fun.
No.
You don't build a business for fun. It's not for a hobby. It's not just to make money. You have to have a stronger sense of purpose beyond that, which is why we exist as Blanc Studio, right? Because our services is all about helping business owners and entrepreneurs figure out their purpose, whether that be within like themselves or within their product or service. We really get that out of a business and help them
Just
market
amplify
it to their audience. So that's what we do really well in Blanc Studio and what we do for ourselves. Of course, money is important. Finances, having like good finances are important. Otherwise, like why do we have a business?
Yeah.
Money is important to me. I'm not going to deny that, but it's not the only thing that drives me to keep this business going. And I learned a lot about purpose and what I am supposed to do in my personal life and in my business life, and using business as a vessel to pursue this purpose. Probably a whole other episode talking about purpose.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
this is a very intricate concept
We
I
just
have in
listed,
my head.
Like 5
I know.
podcasts we're sitting. I love it. Got some ideas already.
So yeah, I would say figure out the purpose and why you're actually doing it. I've just, I guess, told everyone what the purpose was of Blanc Studio, but
that's your elevator pitch for Blanc Studio.
yeah. Purpose, mindset, and I think self-belief. Like you have to be delusional.
Yeah.
Delulu. You have to be delulu to the max. If you have a mindset and you have a strong sense of purpose about I'm starting this business because I want to make a difference in, you don't have to change the world, but you just have to somehow speak emotionally to people through your service or through your product.
You've got to add something to the industry.
Add something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what are you chasing? Money. So what? Secondly, self-belief. I think if you get to that stage where you're so like, I don't know, I describe this, it's probably a very bipolar thing to say, but this is literally how I describe it, right? Sometimes I have such a strong sense of purpose and knowing that I'm supposed to be where I'm at, because I feel like I've been struck by lightning.
Oh.
I've been struck by this lightning of
Gosh.
I just want to work. Sometimes I'll like jolt up in bed. And like if I can't sleep because my mind's racing about I need to do this. This is actually so erratic. But sometimes I'm in bed, I can't sleep. Lots of people are like, why can't this girl sleep? She must have like boy issues. No.
She needs her own, you need your own reality show.
My brain is like this. My brain is like this. And I'm like, I sit up and I'm like, Blanc Studio, I'm going to change lives. Like I actually have that sense.
Oh my gosh.
And over the last few months of business, I've been very distracted. Just personal things, like not really been on top of my goals, not really been on top of what I've been wanting to do for my business. And it's okay. Like you go through those phases. Some things you have to prioritize, some things in life, and you have to live life. But recently, which is, I guess, what drove me to like start this podcast, I had one of those moments where I'm just like, let's get it going. So, yeah, well, what's this convo going?
I don't know. That was good anyway. But being fully honest, I could not I couldn't like get that feeling of like waking up in the middle of the night and being like, oh my gosh, I've got to do it. Most of the time, because I am awake in the middle of the night.
First of all, you're a mother, so
I'm always
let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. But like, I've never had that. Like, I've never
really.
Yeah, like I've never really woken up in the morning and being like, I can't wait to like do this work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like as much as I mean, there has been like stuff, but like I never had.
Yeah, and I guess like that's an important, when you ask me like what should you say to people who want to start their business, 80%, 90% of the time, you're doing shit you don't want to be doing.
Yeah.
You're doing menial shit. You know, you're doing admin, you're doing the day-to-day stuff, and it gets so boring. It gets so hard, and some days you just want to give up. Like, literally, some days I just wish I was just going to my job, not have to, like, think about all these other things. Sometimes I just wish I didn't have that much responsibility.
Yeah, I get you.
I have those moments, but for the most part...
It's probably a fleeting feeling.
It's a fleeting feeling when I'm, like, bored and, like, don't want to be doing what I'm doing today. But, yeah, what I'm saying is majority of the time it is like that. So you have to have something to keep you going beyond just, like, making money because... Yeah, I'm so grateful and I'm so lucky that I know what my purpose is and I wake up every day to remind myself, well, this is why I'm doing it. You know, when I'm like sitting there on my laptop all day sending emails, I get bored. I'm like, I'm not thinking creatively or I'm not doing strategic work. I'm not doing creative work that I love. Why am I doing this? And I, instead of saying because I need to make money, I just say because of the purpose of Blanc Studio and myself, which is to help business owners achieve whatever they want to achieve through marketing our services. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I feel like that you have always had a strong, like, let's go back to Jane Collective, for example, that you did have a strong, there was a purpose to the business, otherwise you wouldn't have made it that far. But when you rebranded as Blanc Studio, that was when, like, your purpose sort of, like,
skyrocketed
into the world.
Yeah,
you know? Like, you
sure.
shared it, like, and you had even, like, I read, like, I don't know if it was your mission statement or, like, you read, I, like, read something about the business that you had, like, really nutted out, like, your ideal client, your purpose, your vision for the business. And, yeah, Blanc Studio is, like, the product of that.
Yeah.
But I really want to know the answers to this question. What's going to happen next year? Like, what have you been working on that's going to come into fruition, or like what's next for Blanc Studio in 2024? As much as you want to share.
I'm excited for this question because I'm always, you know me, I'm always thinking about the next thing.
That's exciting. It's always exciting.
I mean, it's my financial advisor doesn't think it's a good thing, but. You tried to FaceTime me. Diana, oh God. Girl, I'm filming. What's next for Blanc Studio in 2024? So think about this, right? We're going to our third year. So we've had two full...
When? Was it March?
March.
Yep. Wow.
So we've had 2 full years of operation. The first year was Jane Collective. The second year was Blanc Studio.
Yeah.
I should have changed my answer of describe this year. One of my words would be turbulent.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
The past 2 years in business have been turbulent, to say the least. So turbulence in a way where I was like growing rapidly the first year of like having clients, having projects, and I was like, oh my God, hire systems. And I feel like
it was like swim, like just
it's like keep my head above water.
I've heard you say this before, like sink or swim, bitch. That's one of my favorites.
Sink or swim. That's been my life. Probably still will be over the next few years. But I feel like the last 2 years has really provided me so much clarity through all the challenges, through all the lessons, through all the mistakes that I've made. It's given me so much clarity of, number one, what we're supposed to be doing as a business and what I want to keep nurturing. Secondly, it's given me clarity as to how I want to grow my team. And thirdly, it's given me clarity of just our marketing in general. So in saying that, next year, I think priority for me is just building brand awareness for Blanc Studio.
Yeah, okay.
Obviously, one of the biggest goal is like to attain more clients and have the capacity, create capacity for more clients. Whether that be, you know, delegating more work, which is what we're doing because you're going to be more involved next year. So with you being more involved and, you know, offloading more work to the girls, I can free up my time to do more marketing and to do more client acquisition. So that's a big priority. Podcast obviously will will
That's a part of
be a
brand
priority.
awareness,
So that's going to be part of marketing, and that's going to allow us to reach more businesses and more business owners that are similar, because we're going to be inviting other business owners who have very similar mindset. So that just expands the reach of Blanc Studio. So podcast, I want to prioritize next year. I also really want to nurture our digital products, because as much as, we provide this service for social media content creation, it's very hands-on. It's very, a lot of labor that goes into it. But I want to bring in, I guess, some digital products that like provides a different area of revenue for the business, because that's like you do the work once, pay some ads, and then it just brings in revenue. Yeah. So the reason why I want to bring in more revenue for the business is so that I can build capital to be able to do Blanc Studio. Blanc Studio headquarters, everybody.
I can't wait.
My dream. It's going to happen. I'm not even scared or shy to share about this, because you all know I'm going to fucking do it. Okay.
Got the building picked. Still? Is it the same place?
I'd love to have that place, but I'm not attached to it.
Okay.
I have a goal, and you know me, Mon, like if I have an idea, if I have a goal, I don't care, like either way, however long it's going to take me, I'll do it. And this is one of those things that has been in my heart and in my mind for many, many years. The idea probably changed over time. I think at the end of last year, I really wanted to, I had one of those moments where I had a strong sense of purpose. I have to create this studio. So as an extension of Blanc Studio, we want a physical studio where, we can use it for our own clients. Photography, a space to shoot content, videography, podcast studio. We can use it all for ourselves, but other people can rent out.
Hire it out.
Yeah, hire it out. And that's a whole other ballgame.
I want to go back because you said something that triggered a question. So I know this year that you had some clients that weren't aligned.
Weren't
aligned. And obviously that's like, I don't want to say it's toxic in the business. That's probably too strong of a word, but it gets to a point in your business where you've got to make the decision to let clients go when they're not aligned.
Yeah.
What did you do in that situation? And how did you, again, let go of that fear of like, if I let this, that's income of your business.
Yeah.
What happens when I let that go?
It's hard because, number one, like the business is doing well, but we're not like, making profit left, right, center. Yeah. People have to, I think people forget that I am still at the very start of my business journey, because I'm so just like positive all the time. And although so much shit is happening behind the scenes, I always have such a positive outlook of everything. And I'm a good investor. Like I will invest in my business, even if like we're barely making profit or just making profit. So when it comes to letting go of clients who are not aligned, I think for me, it wasn't really that difficult, because obviously I thought about, oh gosh, that's, a loss of $2,000 a month from one client. But imagine the capacity that we could open up ourselves to for more aligned clients without the stress, without the nagging feeling of like, oh, this client's, you know how misaligned clients are. They expect the world for nothing. And it weighs on you, and it weighs on the team, and you don't enjoy working with them. You don't enjoy being around them. And for me, I am such a big believer in like attracting the people that you want to be surrounded with to elevate you. So it's not really...
You have to make the space for it.
Yeah.
That's such a good way to look at it, is that you're not losing something.
I'm gaining.
It's the possibility of gaining something.
Yeah. So with that time, for example, those clients that I had to let go of at the end of last year, yes, it's a loss of income, but that's a gain on my time to be able to do more marketing, to be able to build a team, to then have more capacity for more aligned clients. So it's not a loss.
Yeah,
It's really not.
Mm.
Yeah.
What are you letting go of in 2023? Personally and professionally?
Personally,
Yeah, all of it.
I think in 2023, I was a bit distracted, which is not bad because, you know.
I wouldn't. It's weird because you've said that a couple of times, and I'm like, I haven't.
Really?
Yeah,
I think I was distracted in a sense where like I started to really live out the potential of what my business can do for me in a sense where like, because it's a digital business, I can travel and work and I can do projects. You know, it's actually all good things and good experience even for the business. But I do feel like now I need to just like hone in and focus and just stop being so distracted with like novelty of like travel and like doing projects overseas. I'll take them, but number one, I think I need to let go a little bit of like the fun and just, I think I had a lot of that in 2023. I also want to leave behind just some individuals that doesn't really align with me. Some friends.
Juicy.
Friends this year, I feel like I've nailed down who really like deserves my trust.
I feel like you have a really. I mean, this is from the outside, obviously, but like I feel like you have a really good.
I have
crew.
in like all my life, I've always felt so out of place. Like I never really had a group of friends who I can like trust and like really understand me as, because I don't know, like my business mind, all that. It's very hard to connect with people like that. But
Yeah.
I feel like this year I found those friends, and those friends who no longer aligned, I just had to get rid of, or those who were like sucking out energy out of me kind of thing. So I'm letting that go. And what else? I think just the challenges and the struggles that I went through this year, I think I'm good to put that to rest. It's not going to bother me anymore. Like it stopped bothering me a long time ago, but officially,
Love it.
actually 2023 can just go. I'm done, but we're finishing it off strong.
Yeah. I feel like, yes, like I know it's been such a struggle for you, but like if you look back at the whole year,
Yeah,
overall, like there's been so much good. Like
so many good things.
it's going to be a springboard to so many good things in future years. And we've touched on like, I feel like you've talked about your milestones already. Like we've already kind of listed a couple.
Yeah.
But like if you just had to like categorize them,
Let's
and, like
do
list
it.
them, like
Let's do
just
a
put them in a little
2023
list.
wrapped.
Yes. What are your milestones this year?
Okay, well, at the beginning of the year, January, we traveled to Bali.
Also,
to
you've
shoot.
done like 17 vlogs or something.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2023, January, we've, what?
I was like,
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
We'll wrap
Thank
it up.
you. That's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's wrap it up with this milestones.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
This is a good ending.
Yeah. Milestones for 2023. Let's start with January. So January, we set off to Bali to do our first ever overseas shoot for DK Accessories. That was an incredible experience. Just shooting for Diana's first ever campaign for DK, and to be able to do that with such a good friend is really,
That's cool.
really cool.
That'll be something you can like look back on as well. Like,
Yeah.
As her business grows and you look back at that very first
But we
campaign,
were still
that's
Jane
sick.
Collective.
Yeah,
So during this
true.
whole time, I was
Wow.
planning the shoot and the rebrand. So the rebrand for Blanc Studio went on from like November last
I
year
remember, yeah.
up until like March, right?
Yeah.
So during this time while I was overseas and stuff, I was in contact with Jerry, I was in contact with Aldwin, just trying to organize photo shoots, how we were going to execute and how we are going to communicate this rebrand and why we're doing it. So that was a lot of work. And then we go into
And redoing the website.
Yeah, everything.
That was huge.
Redoing literally the whole marketing, the whole branding. So that all happened behind the scenes, very exciting. And then we had our shoot. I think this is the first time where like we really got the team for like with Jerry and Aldwin and Shan and you got to meet them as well. That was so fun. That was so fun. So doing that was really cool. Doing the rebrand, obviously the rebrand itself was huge. And I felt like after the rebrand, I could really be like fully just nurture and refine who Blanc Studio was. You know, we've started working with some incredible new businesses this year as well. Nurtured a lot of our old businesses that we're currently still working with, going into like 2 years, 3 years. That's incredible for our clients to have trusted us for that long and to want to continue like working and growing with us. I will forever be so grateful for them. What else? Hiring. So taking on 2 new full-timers, huge step, incredible. I feel like now I feel so supported and I can fully trust the girls and you to just do the work, and I don't have to worry about it. I think it's been a huge step in me trusting other people to do that, but also at the same time it's the other way around of the team showing up for me, so I'm very grateful for that. What else? We've got then our second shoot for DK in the middle of the year, or August, September. No,
did you go somewhere for that?
We went back to Bali.
Yeah.
That was incredible because this time around we were so organized. I just feel like as a creative, because I did the shoot myself, I kind of let go of a lot of things and I wasn't as controlling as I was the first shoot. You know, and it goes back to that. So I felt like I was more creatively inspired. So that was a really good experience. And then coming back from Bali, we had Thrive. Oh my God,
true.
Thrive.
I read a review that someone wrote the other day about
Yeah.
that. Oh my God. That was so sweet.
Thrive was a huge one for me, and I had a lot of imposter syndrome doing that whole thing. So doing our first event to help other business owners and entrepreneurs, you know, be more aligned in their business and provide them with more clarity as to how to proceed, I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing. It's a different avenue of what we're already doing, but it's all very cohesive with Blanc Studio, right? So that was incredible. What else did we do?
So that was like August.
And then we had another marketing shoot for Blanc Studio somewhere there before I went to Bali.
Yeah, it was just...
You did. Well, you went there for that one.
Yeah, that was like just after I had.
But same team with like Jerry and Aldwin. That was super fun. And then that was exciting because, you know, new visuals and better marketing. And then now we're here. Now we're doing our podcast. Yeah. And we're going to smash one out before the year ends.
I know. And then you'll have literally another one ready to go for next, or not like ready to go, but like filmed for next year.
And YouTube as well. That's a lot of more personal branding, but something I've been wanting to do. Like we punched out so many YouTube.
You did so many.
16.
I know.
By the end of the year, that's 17.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So I'm very, 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 very.
It felt like you uploaded the first one, like I swear, like a month ago. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, that's huge. 17 vlogs. Yeah.
We've done a lot this year. Thank you. Well done. And thank you for, I don't know, I feel like you, as a friend and also someone who works closely with me for Blanc Studio, I've just had your unwavering support throughout all these years.
Oh, and it's my pleasure.
And honestly, you're like, I always describe you to everyone as like my constant.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Oh, cute.
So thank you.
My pleasure.
Well.
Yeah. It's nice to like, I think especially like as somebody who's like working under somebody else, I'm a person who doesn't like to take instruction, or not take instruction, but I don't like to be bossed around.
Yeah. In your own way, you are your own boss.
Yeah. And like I've, you know, like even just like teaching Pilates, I was always I just answer to myself. Yeah. So it's nice to feel like you have some sort of like creative agency and creative freedom, and not feel like that boss vibe, you know, like you don't ever dread
Yeah.
a Monday meeting, or you don't dread.
I love our
like,
meetings.
That's just so much better than not dreading it. You
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
Who wants to dread working?
Exactly.
But I think that is also the freedom of being able to work at home as well.
Yeah.
It's like,
and the digital
oh my
world.
gosh,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Yeah.
So, in saying that, I think
Yeah.
we'll wrap up this conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Ended on a good note.
Yeah, exactly. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Do you want to wrap up?
Yeah. So, thank you everybody for listening to our first ever podcast episode. Make sure to follow us at blancstudio.au on Instagram, and you can find all our socials. We'll probably put it up here, website and everything like that. And tune in for our next episode with our beautiful client Eliska from Ruffles and Bells, and that will be posted at the beginning of January.
I can't wait to hear what she has to
2024.
say.
I know. Thank you for being here. Mon is going to be here, I guess, co-hosting, hosting the podcast with me. So you'll see a lot of Mon over the next year.
Yeah. Thanks for I was going to say thanks for having me. Thanks for having us in your ears.
All right, we're done.
Thank you. Bye.